Welcome back, everybody. Bill Weld, our pop quiz. You ready? Presidential trivia. President Calvin Coolidge, a Republican, a former Massachusetts governor, used a North Shore mansion known as White Court as a summer White House. What town was that in? And we're going to give you multiple choice. See the screen right here. Beverly, Swampscott, or Marblehead?
Marblehead.
No. Swampscott. 1983, President Ronald Reagan came to Boston and famously lifted a mug of beer at a Dorchester pub. Another multiple choice.
Erie pub.
Wow, you didn't even need it.
I was going to say I'd be deeply disappointed if you got this one wrong. Deeply, deeply disappointed in you. All right, back to presidential politics, immigration and the border wall. President Trump has made the situation on the border with Mexico sort of a key policy fight for 2020. He's declared a national emergency, insisting he will build a wall. Is this a national emergency, and is this the best way to go about it?
No, it's not a national emergency, and what he was fighting about was an $8 billion item, so that wall would have been like 10 yards long. Later he changed his mind and said, no, my wall is 200 miles long, so it's really expensive. But it's part of his strategy to try to get everybody upset and divide the country and persuade us that we shouldn't be patriots who love our own country and our own people. We should be nationalists who hate everybody else.
But is it working? But is it working?
Well, you know, I think the president wants to make us more nationalistic, make us more autocratic. It's why he keeps saying we don't need the First Amendment, we don't need a free press. I love Vladimir Putin, I love Viktor Orban in Hungary, I love despots, I hate these democracies, we don't need NATO. He's doing what you would expect Vladimir Putin to do, and I think he sees himself, everyone knows that he's a narcissist, I think he sees himself as the man on horseback, and he really doesn't want to have primaries, and he really doesn't want to have an election.
But that man that you're talking about right there, we were just saying, the people who you want to vote for you support this man.
Well, it's gonna be my job to enlarge the electorate so we get more millennials, so that we get Gen X, so we get female suburban voters. And I would go so far as to entertain the idea of mobile voting, where you can vote with your cell phone if the security apparatus can be installed.
Security is the key word there.
No, that's right. That's right.
You know
but
that.
think what that would do. 49% of millennials voted last time. That would take that figure to 75%, and you get a different result in that primary.
Janet was saying this before. You ran as a libertarian. You wanted to be ambassador. You were governor of Massachusetts. You wanted to be governor of New York. You have a history of diving into things, and we can cue that tape if we want, of you diving into the Charles River. Now the presidential race. Do you just want to get back into elective office? Really? What do you want to be when you grow up, Governor Weld? And if it's president, why? I mean, you said what you would do, but why? Why do you want to be president?
Well, I think I'm as qualified as anybody else in the race, frankly, based on what I did here over quite a long period of time. In the last 15 years, I've had a lot of international experience, which many people don't have. So, you know, I think I can do the job, and I see the job not only not being done, but I see it being approached in a counterproductive, irresponsible way. So both on the upside and the downside, I've got every incentive to do this. This is the most serious thing I've ever done. This is not taking a dive.
Well, I want you to take a look at a piece of video we're going to play here in a second. Jimmy Kimmel was picking on your former running mate, Gary Johnson, this past week, who clearly had his quirky side. Here's what Kimmel said on Tuesday night. Take a listen.
If you don't remember Gary Johnson, this was Gary Johnson.
I think I could stand up there for the whole debate and not say anything and emerge as a leader.
Oh, geez, I don't know why they broke up, but they were quite a team. He was very presidential.
So any worries that the ridicule associated with that campaign is going to carry over to this campaign?
You know, I don't think Donald J. Trump as President of the United States is a laughing matter, so no.
And you don't worry about what folks were saying about that last election and how they didn't take you seriously might mean they won't take you serious this time.
Well, one of the reasons for running as an R is to get a direct shot at Mr. Trump, who I think is a national menace. It also lay in my mind that we were two relatively successful two-term Republican governors, and we got, what, 4.5 million votes, 3% of the vote. So I'm not sure that people did take that seriously. I think the country was and perhaps still is in the grip of the two-party system. So I decided this time I'm not going to run against the two-party system because everyone wants to do what mommy and daddy did. I'm going to go right after the big guy.
One last very quick question. You're wearing a Red Sox tie when you go.
They need me this year.
Okay, when you go to New York and campaign, are you going to wear that tie?
Yes, absolutely. I grew up hating the Yankees because I was a Dodger fan. I didn't have to put on airs to run in New York.
Governor Bill Weld, thank you so much for joining us. Our Sunday political roundtable is up next. Former Vice President Joe Biden joining Boston Mayor Marty Walsh on that Stop and Shop picket line. Why more than meets the eye is in play. We'll be right back.